This is the Spritz Girl Mindset Podcast, and I'm your host, Courtney Young. If girlhood is a mindset, this is where we practice it out loud and unfiltered. We're healing, we're yapping, and we're doing it with spritzes in hand. Here's your permission slip to be soft, messy, and magnetic as hell. So grab a spritz, grab a seat, no small talk, just the real stuff. Welcome back to the Spritz Girl Mindset, the podcast where we spiral with purpose and get real about big feelings, delulu dreams, and building lives that actually feel good, not just look good on paper. I'm your host, Courtney Young, and today's episode is for the high-achieving girlies who know there has to be more. If you've ever hit your goals and still feel low-key, unfulfilled, or like you're living someone else's version of success, this conversation is going to light you up. Today, I'm joined by Ena Garrido, a wellness expert and serial entrepreneur with over a decade of experience helping people create real, lasting transformation. After exploring all the personal growth tools, Ena found her home in inner matrix systems, a proven method that's helped over 85,000 people rewire their nervous systems and shift the way they think, feel, and live. She now works with high performers who have it all on paper, but secretly feel burned out, disconnected, or just not as happy as they thought they'd be. Basically, she's the nervous system fairy godmother for the ambitious and exhausted. And beyond all that, she's a cat mom, a fashionista, and a firm believer that we are powerful creators. And yes, it is possible to have peace, success, and ridiculously high levels of joy. So if you've been wondering why all your mindset hacks aren't hacking anymore, or you're just craving a new way to come back home to yourself, you're in the right place. Let's spiral with purpose and get into it. Hello and welcome, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here too.
Oh my gosh, yay. Well, let's go ahead and maybe let my audience know a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, my name is Ena. I am a certified inner matrix systems trainer. So my job is to train high achievers on how to rewire their nervous system, their thought constructs, and their emotional patterns so that they have access to joy and fulfillment in their life.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. And for anyone who doesn't know what the inner matrix system is, I know I'm one of those people. Can you give me a brief introduction on what that is?
Yes. So Inner Matrix is an organization that's been around 20 years and it's helped over 84,000 people just really learn how to rewire their lives. And Inner Matrix was founded by Joey Klein, which is an expert that created this methodology that blends neuroscience, it blends like Eastern philosophies and psychology so that it all comes together in a training system that people can really follow through to get results super fast.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. I'm so excited to hear all about it. So let's start from the beginning of your story, right? Can you tell me what life was like for you before you discovered the nervous system training and what made you realize something had to change?
Yeah. I really love to share this because I think that we don't talk about this enough, right? Like the messy parts of life. So thank you for opening that question. I mean, I think that, for me, I've always been like a person that is so just wanting to grow. Like I like to go for it. I like to live a life that is just like big and extraordinary. And, like this drive, I think in a way, kind of led me to a point where I was just like doing so much because I was just kind of going for the goal, going for the next thing. I was working in oil and gas, had a side business, and it was just my days were crazy. Like I would wake up at like 5 a.m, go to the gym, have my first meeting at 7 a.m., work on my business, then be at my work and just like go. And I just got to that point where I was just asking myself, like, when is it going to be enough?
Yeah.
Right? Like when, like, why am I doing all of this? Like, I just felt like so exhausted and like so empty and like just like I was chasing the wrong thing. Like I was just stuck in this hamster wheel. And so I was so fortunate that a friend of mine doing an inner matrix a training. It was like a weekend, like an intensive weekend. And she invited me. And so I went with her. And it was like my life completely transformed. I remember so much. Like I went to the training and I said, I don't know. They're like, oh, why are you here? What are you trying to do? And I was like, I'm just trying to hit my $20,000 a month. That was like my goal, right? And then, you know, the person that was leading was like, well, why 20,000? Like, why not like 50? And I was just like, you know, like that's just my next mark. But what they were really, you know, questioning was like, you know, like you had already had a number before and now you have this new number. What makes you think that this next number, there is not going to be like always something more? During that weekend, you know, like the thing that I learned is just like, oh, I don't need to just work hard for everything to happen. There is a different way.
Yeah.
And that completely just changed my life. Like after that weekend, I really started to explore like the inner dynamics of what was really driving me to just do all that and think that I needed to do that. And unraveling that just brought me so much freedom. So at the end of the day, I started to recognize, wow, the universe has my back.
Yeah.
I can trust myself. I can go for my dreams and not necessarily burn myself down to the ground. I can work smarter. I can collaborate. I can be open to receive, which is a completely different mindset than I just need to get. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, one, I think, first of all, I love everything you just said, but going back to that specific metaphor that you just used, instead of I need to just get, that's a very me centric, like very selfish centric thing. And as humans, I feel like we're constantly wired to have this idea of like, well, if I just get to X, if I just hit X goal, then I'll be happy. And then you hit that goal and it's like, well, if I just do this next thing, then I'll be happy. And then it's like, at what point are you going to realize that your happiness roots in your self-worth and the work that you're willing to do on yourself and not in the things that you're trying to push yourself to get? Because you can keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. But if you're running on burnout, you're never going to be happy.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. Right. And I think that, you know, that's one of the things that has been so great about this work is like I really learned that true happiness, true fulfillment, it comes from the inside and there is no title, there's no amount of money that is going to make you feel a certain way. And that's why in my work, right now, I have a lot of my clients who outside in paper, they have everything. But there are moms that they've just like, oh my God, I'm just in the closet crying. And for the guys, it's like crying in their Teslas, you know?
Yeah.
And because it's not the money, it's not the achievement that brings that success, but you really need to learn to make a definition of success that means something to you and work with your body so that you can have access to the joy and the peace and the calm that we are already designed to feel, right? Like you said, it's like, I think it's a society thing. It's a cultural thing that we're sold this idea that if you get the thing, then you'll be happy. But then the then never gets, you know, that moment never gets there.
Because there's always something else.
Mm-hmm.
Always something else. Okay. So walk me through, you said that you did everything right. You still felt unfulfilled. That's what we're talking about right now. Can you walk us through that moment of, wait, why am I not happy?
Okay. There was a moment. So like my best friend, like I'm originally from Colombia.
Gosh.
And my best friend, she was living in Brazil, but then she found the love of her life and she was going to get married and she wanted to go back to this beautiful town in Colombia and to get married in the mountains. And I was so trapped into I just need to work. I just need to make everything happen. And I wanted to be there. And so I was trying to make absolutely everything happen. And I like booked my flight, but it was just like getting there the day before the wedding and just staying long enough. And then I had to go back to work. And I regret that so much, right? It was like, I couldn't be there for this moment for her and just relax and just enjoy it. And I remember coming back from that trip. I came back to my business and my clients and I was like, wow, like I could have stayed there and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah. It wasn't going to burn.
Yeah. Why am I sacrificing all of that? Like I sacrificed like a real moment that was special, that real connection for what? For the money, for the meeting, for that, like something that at the end I was just like, wow, like this didn't even matter. And that to me was like a point that it really hit. And I was like, I would never do that again.
No, I love that you shared that because I think about times in my own life where I've been on these like once in a lifetime trips, or I've been, on the other side of the world, or I've had, my friends' weddings. And you have to be so intentional about forcing yourself to pause. And there's something in our brain, I feel like, as a society that keeps us from being able to really pause when we have, like you said, the meetings and the work and the money and the this and the that. And like, it's almost like if we could just take a deep breath and pause and see the moment that we're in, we'd be so grateful to be able to be there. And instead, what I see a lot of my clients experiencing, what I've experienced in my own life, is we get so wrapped up on the I have to do this, I need to control this, even though we can't really control it. And then, like you said, we end up having that regret on the back end because we weren't able to be fully present in that moment.
Yeah, yeah. And, it's like life is happening right now, right? Like you can drop that, just like any moment. And it's like you're not, like missing in those moments that make life special. Like those are the moments that I think you really regret not being able to be present and to just enjoy life for what it is. And I think our society and how we get trained when it comes to the brain, it's all about that conditioning, right? We live in a capitalistic world, and I mean, certain things are fine about it, right? Like it's great to be able to like buy all of these cute things and be able to have your own self-expression. And I think that that's where the positive part of it, right? But then the other side of it is like this feeling of, oh, I just need to have it all in order to be okay or to be worthy, right? And I think that that's kind of like when we go a little bit south, but it's finding that balance.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, this is a great pivot into some of the next questions I have for you, which all about the nervous system. So a lot of people, they hear the nervous system and they immediately think of stress or that tension. But like in your experience, what does it actually mean to rewire the nervous system?
Well, so rewiring the nervous system, it's all about creating new neural pathways that allow you to have an experience of life that is more expansive, and that's optimal way of being. And our nervous system gets imprinted, like the way that our nervous system learns, it's by repetition or by intensity. And these processes starts all the way like before we had language, before you even had consciousness. It starts all the way when you were in your mom's womb.
Wow.
And so when your mom was having an experience of, let's say, joy, then your nervous system was like, oh, this is how I need to wire the neurons so that I get to experience joy. And now you have that circuit in your body. But when your mom was feeling fear or uncertainty, then you have that circuit, right? And that's why everybody has a different set of inner dynamics of how they experience lives. And so that doesn't stop there, right? Whenever you were a baby, you're feeling it from your mom. Then after you were born, then you're picking it up and you're like a sponge that getting it from all of the environment. And depends on like the movies that you watch and the music that you listen, like as a teenager, right? Like what were the people that were around? Your nervous system is learning all of that and then setting that as it's like your normal. And so let's say that you grew up in an environment that was maybe not the best, like an abusive environment. And so all of a sudden your nervous system had all of those examples that abusive environments is the normal. And now you are a mom and you're trying to set up your own family and you don't want to repeat that same story.
Right.
Right. But in a way, your body doesn't really know how to create it. And so you can learn the skills onto how to rewire that so that the story can be different. Right? I can give you an example of my own life so that this kind of makes a little bit more sense. For me, my parents were great, but my dad was very strict. And he always was telling me things like, like a woman just acts this certain way. He wanted me to be like the super proper, girly girl that, and I'm super expressive. I like to make faces. I'm like loud. And so he'd always be like, no man is going to like you if you do that. Little comments like that.
Yeah.
But I internalized it and I just kind of got that belief that, oh, nobody's going to like me for who I am. Right. And so that can be a very limiting story if you're trying to find love or if you're trying to connect with people.
Yeah.
And so part of my journey was to learn how to rewire my nervous system so that I could redefine that view of the world and I could have access to the love that I know that I deserve.
Love that. So when we talk about like rewiring our nervous system, how do you tangibly do that?
Well, there is basically three skills that you need to learn in order to be able to like rewire something. The first skill is awareness. And I think that there is a lot of meditation that teaches you how to be aware, right? Like what are your triggers? But that's where everybody needs to start. And I encourage everyone to really take on an awareness type of practice. Even if you think, oh, I already know myself, like really check with yourself, because that discovery, if you can't see something, you can't change it. So you always have to start there, right? When I work with my clients, this is the first exercise that I always give them is like, we're going to take a week and you're going to check with yourself every hour, every couple of hours. And you're just going to check, how do you feel? Or what are you thinking? Depending on, what people have more access to. And you'd be surprised, right? Like people sometimes are like, oh, I didn't know that was there.
Yeah.
Because subconsciously we're just not aware. So that's the first skill that we need to develop, right? So like if you can see it, you can change it. Then the second part is finding center, right? Because whenever we are triggered, what's happening in your brain is that you get into this, in what's called a sympathetic response, which means that your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism becomes just super, super active. And for your brain, there is no black and white, right? There's no like, oh, I'm just a little stressed. No. For your brain, it's like, it's on or it's off, right? Even if you kind of like normalize it, you're like, oh, I'm just a little stressed. No. For your brain, it's like there is these two ways of being. You either have access to that like prefrontal cortex, which is, your creativity, your joy, your connection, or there is like the amygdala part of your brain, like that lizard brain that is just kind of like super defensive or freaking out. And you can feel like, oh, I'm just a little stressed. At the nervous system level, you do not have access to critical thinking or to creativity, anything at that point. So you need to build on that skill of how do I first notice, right, that I'm there? And then I find that centering so that I can deactivate it, right? And a lot of those techniques require control of the breath, relaxing the body. So relaxation is a skill. Yeah. And then you can use the breath, you can use the mind to direct the mind in a certain way to just like find that center, right? Because you can't just be like, I'm freaking out. And then I'll decide, oh, I'm happy now. You need to be like, oh, I'm freaking out. Let me come back to center. Yeah. And then from there, then you can take another step. And so that's the third skill, right? So the first one is awareness. The second one is just recentering. And then the third one is about redirecting and building new neural networks. So every time that you are feeling an emotion, your nervous system is doing something very specific. It's firing a very specific circuit, it's firing certain specific chemicals. And the more that you do something, the more effective your body gets at it. So if you are anxiety, or fear or doubt, and you're like in repeat, your body actually gets really good at just doing that. And anything that triggers then is gonna trigger that same pattern just because it's something that you repeated over and over. Okay. So one of the skills that is very important to develop is like, oh, okay, well, let me see what is the goal that I want to achieve. Let's say it's love. I want a connection, love with people. Then I need to get really good at feeling love, at feeling connection, and just activate it, and we just fabricate it. So the more that you do that, the more that you're going to be able to strengthen that neural pathway. And all of a sudden, you're just going to be a completely different person because literally your body's different.
That's so crazy. It's so interesting hearing you talk about all of that because literally I went and got a massage on Saturday and she like did the massage for me and she afterwards she was like, "You're really tense. You should probably practice breathing." And I feel like that whole thing you just talked about with like centering, that's something that so many people don't consciously think about doing. I can preach awareness all I want. I can preach accountability all I want. But if I'm not taking that time for myself to get into my own thoughts and to really dive into it,
who am I helping? I'm not
Mhm.
helping myself. I'm not helping anybody else. So I love that you said that. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. And I think that I'm just so grateful that I think a lot of people are waking up into the importance of being aware and just, doing the self-work. And I think that there's still like that connection that we need to make. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this work, because people know, like people know they spend time with themselves. If they just did that relaxation, things could be better. But for some reason, they can't get themselves to do it.
Yeah.
And the reason is that for your nervous system, if it's something that you're not used to, your body's kind of going to reject it. So it feels weird, even though it's good for you.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, it feels weird. It feels like I'm fake. It feels like it's not me, right?
Yeah, no, I know
Right?
exactly what you're talking about. And that's so real. That's something that I've felt before.
So it's all about kind of like really taking the leap to bridge that gap and using these other techniques so that you're not reinforcing the pain that you're in, but instead you're like, okay, this feels uncomfortable, but it's good for me. Let me breathe. Let me direct the mind. And I'm just going to teach my system that this is the new way of being that I want. I'm going to teach my system that this is important to me. And sometimes it feels like a little bit like, oh, but your brain is so plastic. It's so amazing that adapts so fast that I guarantee you that if you stay consistent for like a couple of weeks, if you could take a picture of your brain, a difference can be made that is really, really significant. But sometimes it's hard to get through, that first hurdle.
No, I love that. And I want to move on a little bit and start talking about high achievers and happiness gap. Now that we kind of have some fundamentals. So why do you think that so many high performers, and particularly women, hit their goals and still feel empty?
I think that we already talked about like society, right? And like conditioning. But I think that specifically for high achievers and women, we want things to be perfect and beautiful. And when you are ambitious and you want excellence, you are willing to sacrifice so much. You put so much energy, so much effort into creating the thing. And so you get to the point where you're like, wait, I did everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And if this is not working, then there is this like, well, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Right? Like, then how? And so there's a real struggle there. And I think it's because, it's all about creating a vision for ourselves that doesn't come from society, from your parents, from television, from anywhere else. We don't know how to just do that for ourselves. So instead of like checking the boxes, like we can fulfill on ourselves. That's why most people start with the external, right? Like, oh, I just need the dream home, or I need the dream car, or I need to 2.5 kids to be happy, right? Like there is all of these metrics. When I work with clients, and this is a very important part of the work. What is actually important to you? And I think that all of those things are great, right? Like the dream house and the dream car and everything. But in the framework that I teach, we always start from the inside, right? And I think that that's the real struggle, right? Like people don't know how to do this. But if you start from the inside and then you ask yourself, okay, if I had all of these things already, how would I want to feel? What is the experience of life that I am having? When I asked this question, I had never had anyone be like, "Oh, I just want to be angry. I just want to know how miserable feels." Like, no, everybody's like, "I want joy. I want freedom. I want love." Right? And so if you start there and then you start designing, okay, what are the things that I'm doing that then I'm expressing joy through these actions? What are the things that I'm thinking that are supporting me to take these actions? And then the results are just going to come. It's like inevitable, right? Because when you feel like inspired and joyful and free, you're going to act, you're going to think, you're going to feel, you're going to act completely different than if you're not, right?
Well, and I love what you're saying about that too, because I think there's another side of this that's a trap that people tend to fall into, right? And that's that toxic positivity, or that I'm so happy all the time, but I'm not actually feeling anything. And I think what you're talking about, what I'm hearing you say is genuine happiness, genuine peace, genuine freedom, genuine love. That comes from knowing yourself and being in tune with yourself and learning to lean into that authentically. It's not that toxic positivity. It's not that I got to have all the material things. It's being very connected to who you are and being so in tune with who you are that you can feel confident just being.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you brought that up about like toxic positivity, right? Because I think it is easy to go that way. We know that it's bad to be triggered or it's bad to be anxious. And then we kind of convince ourselves, right, that we are happy. But in the inside, like you're really kind of breaking down. You like your body's like, oh my God, hell. But yeah, we could get to that point if there is not clarity. And I think, also the importance of connecting with yourself and being that authentic self is so that we can really step into our creative power, right? This is something that, as humans, like we have the opportunity to really create a vision for ourselves and create who we want to be. And that doesn't have to be defined by the circumstances. Right. And so you can have a busy schedule, you can have a demanding life, and you can choose peace, and you can be joyful, and you can be inspired. It's all about, like you said, just kind of finding that connection with our authentic selves so that we can be confident in what we're saying yes to and what we're saying no to. And if you don't have a vision for who you want to be and what you want to create for your life, somebody else has a vision for you.
Absolutely. Yes. I love that you said that because boundary setting, particularly with a lot of my clients, that's something that they really struggle with. And something I try to remind them often is let your yeses be yeses and your nos be nos. You don't have to say yes to things you don't want to do. If it doesn't feel aligned with you, you shouldn't be doing it. So what is that tendency? Why do we as humans like feel the need to mask and people please and all of that? That's that's a huge question for my audience. So I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
I think that they are two things that really are critical for that. Like, I think, people pleasing, for example, or just trying to feel safe in the group. Like, I think a lot of people who have a hard time saying no, it's a valid thing because evolutionary speaking, right? Like whenever we were in the savannah, right, evolving as humans, if you got kicked out of the tribe, that means death, right? Like you're just going to die. So for a lot of people, there is this kind of association of I need to do whatever it takes to be loved. Or if I say no, then I'll be kicked out of the tribe and I die. Like that's how your nervous system kind of interprets that. So it's going to be super, super hard for you to say no because it goes against everything that you're wired for. And so the antidote to that is teaching yourself and creating experiences, like training your system to understand, oh, love is all around me. I'm safe, right? And that's like, I'm saying like, it's that easy thing to do. It's a simple thing to do, but maybe not an easy thing to do. And so that's the first thing, right? Like for some people, there is this association of like saying no means like this huge consequence, means life or death. And that's how it feels in their body. So it is really, really hard to hold that boundary because it literally means that.
Yeah.
The second thing that I think plays a huge role here is vision, right? And so if you don't have a vision for what's important to you, and then somebody says, hey, you should do this, then you can be like, oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. Even if it doesn't matter to you. But it's just because it's really hard to take decisions if you don't know where you're going. So for example, for me right now, I'm putting a lot of my energy into like service, contribution, right? I want to be available to do things like this. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm saying no to some other things that could be fun and great, right? It's like, oh, we want to go out for happy hour. I'm like, no, no, thank you. But it's really easy for me to do that. I'm not like, oh, no, I wish I could be there. Like, no, right? I'm so clear that, oh, this is what I'm doing. So the no, it's easy. But if you don't have that, and then it becomes really difficult.
I love that. So along those lines, what are some like subconscious patterns that you see your clients having that maybe hold them back that they don't even realize that are holding them back? Aside from like the people pleasing and the boundary setting, do you see any other patterns that you kind of are like fighting with your clients day to day?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like, I think it's, this is really interesting because you're going to love this. I think, like one of the things that was mind blowing to me when I started really learning about this work and like how emotions work and how patterns work is that for everybody is really the same, even though the circumstances are different. Say when somebody is dealing with anxiety, that pattern is going to sound something like, I don't know what's wrong, or something is wrong. I know that something's wrong and I don't know what to do about it. How do I get out of it? And that's the pattern that plays for them. If somebody is, let's say, in anger, the pattern is going to sound something like, I'm right and you're wrong. And let me show you how wrong you are because I need to show you how. And it's like the same. Like, even if the circumstance is different, right? Like the pattern, the way that the pattern plays out is the same for all human beings. It's really wild how, even though the circumstances are different for different people, the patterns that we play out are the same. And so I think that I see a lot of people with anxiety nowadays. I went to a conference and it was like a neuroscience conference, and they said, we live in the age of anxiety. And I was just like, whoa, that's like a term? Like wow. It's wild, right? And so that anxiety of like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I think with women, anger, right? Because we're taught that it's not okay to be angry. And so there's a lot of this suppression that you can still feel it, right?
Smile more.
And so do you feel that? Like, is that yours?
So no, anxiety is definitely probably mine. Are you familiar with the Enneagram at all?
A little bit, yeah.
An Enneagram 6, and Enneagram is all based on motivation and fear. So it's just another lens on how to tap into that awareness. And so for me, my core motivation is to be safe, and my core fear is of abandonment, not feeling prepared. So like for me, if I don't know the plan or the plan goes south, I don't feel safe because I don't feel like I'm in control of what's happening. And it can be something as easy as, oh, well, okay. So when I was 2, my mom used to make fun of me all the time because she would have to map out the exact day for me every single time we would get in the car. So she would be like, first, we're going to go to Target, and then we're going to go to McDonald's, and then we're going to go to Nana's house. And she would tell me that God forbid she did any of those things out of order, and I would literally have a meltdown. So like from when I was 2. And so that's very much like me. I want to know the plan. I want to feel safe. I want to have it all laid out. I'll go to a concert and I want to know the set list beforehand. It's like it's a safety response. So it's very much like an anxiety, and I need to feel prepared, not necessarily an anxiety and I feel fear, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense because, it's like for our brains, that's all your nervous system and your brain is trying to do is to help you. It's to help you feel that you're not under threat. And so if knowing the plan is something that brings you comfort, then the brain is just going to be looking for that. And all of a sudden, if it doesn't go that way, then it activates something that says, oh my God, this is a threat.
Let me ask a million questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what my brain goes to. It's let me ask every question. Let me test this theory. Let me be as skeptical as possible so that we can get to the root of what's actually going on.
Yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense to me. I mean, in terms of like neuroscience and like what's happening in your nervous system, is just like, yeah, there is that habitual thing and the right parts of the brain are activating just to try to help you navigate the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's kind of tap into that manifestation side of things. It's kind of become a buzzword. So what's your take on manifestation, especially from a neuroscience lens?
Okay, I mean, I feel like I love manifestation. I don't know if I love the word now because like you said, right? It's like becoming this buzzword that's kind of started to lose a little bit of meaning. But, in terms of the neuroscience, I love it because when you start looking at how we are designed as human beings, there is this whole network in your brain called the salient network that is basically helping you focus your attention so that your subconscious can put all of the energy into creating that specific result that you decided. So manifesting it's all about harnessing that creative power that we have to create anything that we want. And so from the neuroscience perspective, learning how to activate that salient network. So what you decide that is important is the thing that goes into your subconscious. And then all of these energies working for you is just feels like magic, right? Because when you think about the psyche, there's kind of like this huge field, which is your subconscious. And that's where most things are happening, right? Like we're going through life and we're thinking, oh, I'm taking every single decision. But no, in reality, every decision that you take is predetermined based on the things that your subconscious thinks is important.
Wow.
And the conscious mind, if you were to think about like this huge field, the conscious mind would be like a dot, like somewhere in the field there. So it's like this minimal thing of like the things that we're aware in comparison to all of this energy that is available. That's actually how we're operating. So when you're learning manifestation techniques, it's all about using the conscious mind to tell the subconscious, hey, this is the thing that's important. This is the thing that we are creating. And then everything in your body is going to move in ways that you couldn't even orchestrate it, right? Because it's just subconsciously happening for you. And so the biggest mistakes that I see people making this is that, you know, when you think about your focus, I read a statistic that said that people's focus or like attention span is 1.3 seconds, right? Like less than a goldfish.
That's crazy.
Like, wow, like, right? But I mean, isn't that wild, right? Because if we don't have like that ability to focus, and when I was talking about the mistakes, right? Like, so the mistakes that we make is like our brains have this negativity bias and we're always kind of looking at, oh, what's happening right now so I can fix it. Or, oh, what happened in the past that created a problem. So let me not do that again. But when it comes to manifesting, right? Like creating something new, that doesn't work, right? Because if you're focusing on everything that you need to fix, you can't focus on the thing that you're actually trying to create. And it's just very, scientific, because it's like, if your brain is thinking about the problem, I need to lose 20 pounds. I need to lose 20 pounds. I need to lose 20 pounds, right? Like all of the energy, what you're doing is telling your subconscious that to think about weight, to think about like how this is a problem. If you wanted to, let's say, oh, I have that goal for losing weight, a better way to focus the mind so that you're actually harnessing that manifesting power that I'm talking about would be like, I want to look amazing. I want to feel vitality. I want to have energy, right? And so that's a completely different focus.
I love
right? And so I'm saying, okay, I want to have more energy. I want to look amazing. Then your brain is going to be like, oh, wait, I'm going to communicate that to the subconscious. Then the subconscious is like, oh, okay, you could eat a salad. A salad is great. Right. But you can't have that thought if the focus is like, I need to lose 20 pounds. And then the focus is going to be just like, I'm doing everything wrong. I'm not fixing the problem. Why is it so hard to eat the salad?
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that taps into that like perfection versus consistency mindset too. Like if you're holding yourself to this perfection standard, you're never going to reach that standard.
absolutely. Yeah. And there's no such a thing as being perfect, right? But it's all about like the focus. Where's your focus at? Is the focus on the problem? Is your focus on the past? Because, like the past, all of the patterns that you're actually running right now in your life, they created the results that you have right now.
Yeah.
So, it's all about manifesting and like harnessing that part of your brain. It's really just that ability to truly focus on what doesn't even exist right now, and believing that it's possible and really feeling it, right? And so manifesting as well. Sometimes people are like, oh, let me just do my affirmations, right? Like my manifesting affirmations. And they're like, I'm a millionaire. And then inside they're just like freaking out because they can't pay the rent. The reason why that doesn't work, right, is because what we're talking about with the nervous system and the subconscious, right? And so if the manifesting power comes from activating your cellular network, and that doesn't happen through words, that happens through sensation, right? So if I'm feeling, like, oh my God, like I am free. I am, I can do whatever I want. I'm inspired, right? And then I'm like, I'm a millionaire. That's a completely different experience for your subconscious, because your subconscious is like, oh, this feels amazing. I need to do what it takes to feel this way. And it's going to help you create it over and over.
Focusing on the feeling behind things rather than focusing on the problem. Because I feel like, something I hear a lot in my day to day is, okay, well, don't focus on the problem, but focus on a solution. But I feel like sometimes there can be a lot of anxiety in trying to find a solution when all we can focus on is the problem. But to be able to pause, sometimes you can't find a solution when you're like anxious or when you're stressed. But what I can do when I'm anxious and when I'm stressed is I can pause and I can ask myself, okay, what is the feeling I'm feeling right now? And how do I want to feel? And I feel like that's such a tangible way to really tap into that. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's all about the feeling, right? It's like your nervous system doesn't speak English, right? It really speaks sensation. And it's like what we talked about, how our nervous system existed like before you had language, before you had consciousness, right? And so like think about that, right? It's like you learn how to feel before you could even talk.
Yeah.
And so when we start with emotion is going to guide the mind doesn't guide the emotion. The mind is just a tool for creation, a tool that amplifies anything that you put in it. So if you feel joyful, the mind is going to follow that signal from your nervous system, and you're just going to be like, oh my God, life is amazing. Wow, the universe has my back. Opportunities are all around me, right? Like you're going to think all of that. And then your mind is going to amplify it. You're going to act differently and you're going to get different results. So if you start from the feeling, there's really no way that you can go wrong.
I love that. So what would you say is one practical shift someone listening could kind of make today to align more with that life they want to create?
I would say create a vision that it starts from the inside out. It always starts from there. Something practical to do is I divide my life into just like the most important things, right? So I divide it into relationships and like love area. That's one area. And I have like health and body area. And I have like my career and money area. And so like to create a vision, you start with those three. And then you're just going to say, oh, let's say with my love and relationships, what is that I want to create here? Maybe it's like, oh, I want to be married. I want to have a family. I want to create a home. I want to have a tight group of growth friends that inspire me, whatever it is, right? And then it's like, how do I want to feel there? Okay, I want to feel connected, inspired. You just do that exercise with each of the things, right? It's like, oh, how do I want to be in my body? It's like, oh, I want to be athletic and I want to, wear these type of clothes and I want to be able to, have energy all day and I don't know, have beautiful skin. I mean, it could be a combination of the, the external things, but obviously it started with the internal, right? Because there is nothing wrong with wanting things, right? Like I don't want to shame anyone from like their ambitious dreams because I just love it. I think we're here to create, right? But it's all about like that external thing is not going to create internal. It starts with the internal. What are the things that you want to feel? What are the things that you want to be doing? And then what are the things that you want to experience, right? Like I want to travel or whatever, right? Like experiences that you want to. So I would say take those three areas of life and figure out how you want to feel, figure out what you want to do, figure out the externals, and then ask yourself, how is my behavior or like the way that I'm feeling right now aligning with creating those results?
I love that. I love that idea of creating a vision and like leaning into that for yourself. I think that's such a powerful tool. And that's something that I do every single month is I create a vision board for my upcoming month. But I think next time I do that, I'm going to divide it into those categories and be really specific and get really clear about what it is I want. And I'm so curious to see how that shifts for me. And I challenge my audience to do the same.
Yes. Oh my God. You got to keep me updated
Yes.
and see how it goes. Cause I mean, I love that you do the vision boards, like I think that is so important. Our brain thinks in pictures.
Yeah.
Right? And so having those visuals of like, oh, I just see it. Right. And so one thing that I do, like every morning I wake up and I'm just like, how do I feel? Like I do a check-in and then I'm just kind of like, how was my vision? And I just connect with it. Right. And I visualize it and I'm just kind of in the emotion and I just like go to that place where it's already real, activate my nervous system to create that conscious subconscious connection in my day is just aligned.
I
Right?
love that. Yeah, what I do with my vision boards is I make them my phone wallpaper and my computer wallpaper,
Yes.
my planner cover, and every month they change based on what my vision for that month is. So I love that. I think that's such a
That's awesome. That's like such a great technique because that repetition, right? Your nervous system learns through repetition. Sometimes people are just like, oh, that kind of sounds a little weird, but no, like I have, like alarms every 2 hours in my phone that have my affirmations so that I
I
can
love that.
remember. But that's what it takes, right? Like
Yeah.
that's when we talk about nervous system training, is that, right? Like, so it could be things like, oh, I have my vision board is here. I see it all the time. I have my benchmarks there and like in
Yeah.
front of me in my office. I do my visualizations, right? And it's like that repetition, it's really creating your brain. It's creating your system. It's kind of like when you do, you go to the gym and you do a squats or something. It's like you're molding your body to
Yeah.
take a specific shape. The things on how you direct your attention is how you're molding your nervous system and your mind.
Love that. All right. Well, this has just been such an eye-opening conversation. What's one thing you want every person listening to know about emotional freedom, true joy, and creating a life that actually feels good?
Wow. What I want everyone to know.
Yeah, like if they could take away
Oh,
one thing.
because, my core message is really, you are more powerful than you think you are, right? Like, claim your power. I believe in you. You got this.
I love that. I think that, like I felt that in my soul. And I can tell you really, really mean that. So thank you for sharing that with me and with my audience. This has been just, like I said, the most eye-opening, fun conversation. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come spend some time with us. Can you tell my audience about how they can connect with you and what you're doing and all of that good stuff?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Courtney. I mean, really, it's been a blast. No, for everyone listening, please visit my website, enagarrido.com. Right now, I have an offering that is a 5-episode and audio mini series. So it's a private podcast that people can get access to, where I've created 5 episodes that really dive deep into nervous system rewiring, emotions, how you can get started, how to create a vision, some of these topics that we talked about today. If you really want to know a little bit more, just go and sign up for that. And when you sign up for the audio series, you also receive 5 days of daily practices just directly sent to your inbox. So when you're listening to a lesson or something that I said, then you can go and apply it right away and just kind of try it for yourself,
I
You
love
just
that.
need to get it started.
I will
Mhm.
definitely be signing up for that.
Awesome. Yeah. Just go to the website. Is like, you get private access just by signing up.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Anna. I've really enjoyed our chat today, and I hope everyone listening has a great week. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.